All right, thanks for staying with us on Good Morning Nigeria so far. It's time for newspaper review, and we'll get it to you just after this break.
Our newspaper reviewer is here, Chooks, the boy. You are welcome to Good Morning Nigeria this morning. So what you have for us is wet money.
Oh, it's a wet morning. And that started, from 5 days back. I think the rains are having back on what they missed because it was not August break we saw this year. It was more of a July break into August,
So catching up on lost time.
Exactly.
Actually,
you can't cheat nature.
They have warned us, actually. I mean, they told us that when the rain comes now, it won't stop until November.
And that's a very good one because the rain stops in Abuja around October 26th, between 20th and 26th. I've always, written this down. If it's going to get up until November, that means that beans farmers have a hope because they didn't plant early this year, meaning that those crops they were to harvest after 3 months would push beans farther in terms of planting it, meaning that will push beans too much into the dry season. But if it's going to get up to November, God is giving his back to us.
Okay. Anyway, let's rain down the beans. No, rain down the stories.
The newspapers.
I will begin with the Vanguard, which leads with this major story. Executive order on medicaments. FG yet to implement 2 months after. And it has several riders. FG working on implementation framework 2 months after. Minister. Delay not worth it. People are dying. Oladigbolu. Government must progressively intervene in high tariffs. Akintayo. Implementation details must be properly worked out. That's according to Ifeanyi. That story is on page 5 of the Vanguard papers. And above the masthead, FG moves to eliminate malaria, picks Dangote, Otedola, Elumelu to drive efforts. That story is on page 9. And on 8, Catholic bishops canvass regional government, ask Tinubu to fight hunger, graft. On page 20 comes the story, Nigerians hope for lower cement price dims. Nigerians hope for lower cement price dims, page 20. And above those stories, court freezes 32 accounts linked to end bad governance protests. That's on page 32. And just before I drop the Vanguard, let's go to Mr. and Mrs. who is knocking at the door like that. I hate people dropping by without notice. I'm going to give that person a piece of my mind. That's according to Mrs. And Mr. replies, check if it's the landlord. We can't afford to be on his bad side. Rent increase is not the best at a time like this. Okay?
Yeah.
Mola?
All right. I have the Nation newspaper with me, and just above the nameplate, Dangote or Tedola Elumelu back federal government's moves to eliminate malaria. The details of the story can be found on page 4. And we have 2 policemen killed during clash with Islamic group in FC. 3 policemen critically injured, 3 patrol vans touched, 52 El Zazaki's men arrested. Details of that story can be found also on page 4. Court freezes 32 accounts of individuals, firms linked to August protest. Details on page 5. Okonjo-Iweala canvasses economic policy consistencies. Details on page 5. VP government committed to rule of law. $115 million on a port terminal ready for inauguration. Details of that story can be found on page 5. Set to deploy technology in eradicating unclaimed dividends. Details of the story can be found on page 6. Chooks?
You want to quickly react by saying not again when you read news that the Islamic group, traceable to El Zakzaki, that name is always a problem
El
for
Zakzaki.
me. That
The Shiite.
fatal clashes, not just clashes. Somebody died. 2 people reportedly died.
But 2 policemen.
Say, no, not again. What is causing a flare-up again? Remember the story of the Islamic group? How El Zazaki, the wife, and all, went into detention and all that. I think we have to engage processes that do not ignite preventable conflict. Because some of these things happening are preventable. What is the bone of contention? Religion should not be a problem for another person. You can only take yourself to heaven. You can't take mom along. You can't take dad along. So the way Nigerians push religion sometimes alarms me. It doesn't matter what faith you're talking about. You can only save yourself. So please, spare us the embarrassment, if not the agony of losing people. I just pray that it doesn't escalate. That's the prayer. I just pray so.
The police said they were armed with various weapons and they attacked the police checkpoints and all that. If they had a peaceful procession, probably this would have been avoided. And besides the fact that they have been proscribed, so I don't know.
I didn't actually want to drop that one, So people don't begin to think you're too much, you're against us or whatever. They're proscribed.
Yeah.
That means that's illegal. Particularly if they glibly, clearly identify themselves as members of the Islamic group. We have to be careful, Demola. We just have to. There's the bit on malaria, fighting malaria.
Yeah.
I was happy when it was announced some 5 months ago that a vaccine, was being tested, an anti-malaria vaccine. I don't think that rollout has happened in Nigeria. I don't think so.
Not yet.
Not yet. But picking perhaps the 3 most visible Nigerians in terms of financial muscle suggests to me that they were picked to do the job because this is something that actually requires you to throw in, some money into. Maybe they want to use that as a part of their social responsibility.
Yeah. Yeah.
So whatever the intention is, you have to applaud it, the move, because malaria is how many deaths annually? 600.
No.
600,
we have lost. We're uncountable.
Thereabout. Then Nigeria has a.
We've lost uncountable.
Yes, malaria still remains a killer.
Yeah,
actually, when HIV was being talked about and all that, malaria still remained the biggest killer, not HIV.
Yeah,
that's
in Africa.
Tell you. Exactly. But the alarming aspect of it now is that parts of Europe are becoming warm enough for mosquitoes to thrive in them. So that is actually, that I think is actually why the vaccine was eventually taken seriously. Because Black Africa had been suffering from the scourge of malaria for a long time without anything being done about it. But a stink is now sending a few white skins to the bed,
And then the story on medical FGA to implement 2 months after it was supposed to be an executive order to provide some form of waivers.
Which happened in June. Cost of essential drugs would have dropped. ECG equipment, for instance, laboratory equipment, imaging equipment, would have dropped by that executive order if it got implemented. So the question is, what is delaying it? Is it that it's no longer important? The president did this with good intentions. Is it bureaucracy again? What is it? Let me say this. The riots in Britain, they were even more violent than what happened in Nigeria. Nobody was killed. We have to chip in that. the point I want to make is that people who were thematically, people who were in the thick of that, many of them have been sent to jail already. How many of our own people have been executed? These delays they're not things you want to have in the system.
Well, I think the court is trying some of them. Like, for instance, in the paper,
I've not heard about anyone jailed yet. That's what the point I made.
Okay.
The
Because here it
prosecution
says court freezes 32 accounts of individual firms linked to August protests. And
yes,
all that,
I got that. Well,
I think they are being prosecuted.
Freezing their account.
The process
it depends on what the DSS found out about those accounts and all that. Otherwise, money has to come to get certain things done. The legality of it is what I think the government is going to concentrate on and say, hey, you are fanning the embers of fatal discord and pretending to be not to be the one behind it. I think we need to make sure that due diligence is exercised in making sure that somebody did not take us for granted, as much as we say people have a right to protest. You understand? So
and Nigerians hope for lower cement price dims. I'm not sure why that is.
Victor,
because at some point we were promised that it was going to drop to a certain amount by the major manufacturers.
Have you built a house?
Well,
I did not come here for a personal attack, but I know anytime I hear about cement, I wince because I know where I am in terms of building a house. You see, I talk about if we are serious about stopping deforestation, kerosene price should be one of the things subsidized. Mm-hmm. We are inviting the desert more and more toward the river Niger. I'll keep on saying it. Same way, if you want Victor to shelter himself in good time, in his prime, one of the things you're going to have to do for him is to make sure the price of cement drops. The 8,000 or so, 8,500 or 7,500, is still not it. It scares me. I don't know about you, Demola. Ilemi is not yet in place for me completely. I don't know about you. Well, your people are very wonderful human beings. They rush to build houses. Where I come from, you delayed so much.
Who are my people? Are you not my people?
I said Ilemi.
Ilemi.
I said Ilemi is very important.
Yes.
And I'm applauding the attitude
yeah.
in the West, in the Western region, where people actually set out early.
Yeah.
It is a habit that needs to be imbibed by other people. I didn't say to deride it.
There's no habit. You see, like someone would always say, you don't get angry. You don't get to build a house.
No.
You have the resources.
You have to plan.
You have the resources and you build it.
You
don't get angry.
No,
if it's
a
not
matter
there,
of what you prioritize.
if it's not there, it's not there.
Yes.
It's a matter of what you prioritize.
Your priority and probably the culture.
The culture again, yes. Probably the culture.
Yeah.
One of the things, some communities have the things that define their men of valor. At a point, it was the number of wives you had. I think everybody is running away from from having so many wives. It will still boil down
to your earning power, your other responsibilities. I mean, you can't be building a house and your kids are not in school. Just, to put it
that's why we say priority.
The secret is start early. Victor, some of the money I wasted between the ages of 30 and 45 could have set me up a modest bungalow. I didn't come to tell the world that I'm an irresponsible human being. But because I'm a journalist, I have to say the way it is. So sometimes some of the monies the other time I said, one of the things we need to teach our children now is money sense very early so they can succeed in life quicker than us. That's it. Materially, that is.
But you see, the children of nowadays are even more, would I say, more, they are more investment, conscious than us.
Okay.
Yes.
So there is an improvement.
There is an improvement.
I want to see that among my children. Yeah, very important. Yes.
Yes. because I see them investing in a lot of things, getting their hands, they have so many opportunities these days with this technology and all that. So they make money so easily. So technology made it easy for them to make, quick money and for them to be able to use it, intelligently. It's just that, they just need role models. The kind of role models that we have out there these days are not too, are not something to write home about, that kind of a thing. So if you have people that can actually educate them and teach them about money management, we have a lot of teachings, a lot of classes, online classes and all that going on now these days.
They don't have to wait as long as some of us did before.
So they have opportunities online, money management, how to manage your life, manage your wealth, manage everything. So they have opportunities
actually,
now.
I read one of the former ministers saying that these days you have to read particular courses to, prosper in life. As much as I agree that courses, it started with medicine, are very important. There is no subject in the world that is not important. There isn't a subject.
Well, we have to just
Let you
go. We have our major topic for today. So, Chooks, this morning I almost made a mistake. Did you notice? I wanted to introduce, I said, Shukudi. I got used to calling you
Demola, it's old age. You're wasting our time. It's old age.
I got used to calling you Shukudi. But it's Chooks. Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you.
So we'll take a break now. Good Morning Nigeria continues. Stay with us.